For nearly 20 years, this question has haunted the minds of Gilmore Girls lovers everywhere. Who should Rory Gilmore have ended up with? Now, if you were to ask me this question in 2007 when the last episode of the original show aired, I would have given you the obvious answer: Logan Huntzberger. He's smart, he's reliable, he's hardworking, and he can provide Rory a life that is socially acceptable within the world of the Gilmore family. A life that she was essentially born into. A life that, for better or for worse, Lorelai Gilmore refused. However, with the 2016 release of Gilmore Girls: A Year in the Life, this answer gets way muddier. Today, we're going through the pros and cons of each Gilmore Girl guy and answering this nearly 2-decade-long debate. Also, hi, I'm Angie. I talk about movies, TV, nostalgia mostly. I talk a lot about the Gilmore Girls here. So much so that my friend David has given me this sweatshirt. It says Stars Hollow, Connecticut. I'm obsessed with it. I just think that it kind of blends me in with the wall. So I'm going to tastefully drape it around my shoulders. Welcome in. Stay a while. We have a fun time over here. Now, to get started, Dean... LOL, right? No, that's an immediate no. He's possessive, he's jealous, he's immature. And I might have a biased opinion here, but I think rarely should anyone marry their first love, especially if that first love was brought to you when you were 14 or 15 years old.
Lorelai, I like that.
That whole thing was just so toxic by the end of it. There was no recovering. There's no argument there. So he's out. Things get a little sticky when you start thinking about Logan Huntzberger. Now, over time, we see Logan mature from this very stereotypical player, trust fund baby with no goals or aspiration to a normal trust fund baby who actually takes pride in his work. As we see Logan and Rory progress through Yale, we see that Logan's actually enthusiastic about his job, really found passion in his work, working for one of his father's media companies. He takes on this provider role and wanted to make a name for himself while also understanding that there's weight to the Huntzberger name. He never denied his privilege. He very much acknowledged it and took advantage of it. He welcomes Rory into his community while they're in college and really introduces her to an entire new world that she wouldn't have understood had he not been in her life. She's from a very small town, small community, kind of working class family, and Logan is able to bring her into rooms and let her shake hands with people that could potentially make a difference in her future. He even pulled strings to get her very first internship with his father, and he plays this role of kind of broadening her horizons and allowing her to explore a type of life outside of Stars Hollow. By the time the regular season ends, you kind of forget that he was ever such a pompous prick. Unfortunately, in true Rory Gilmore fashion, she made it weird. She made it weird. He proposed to her multiple times.
Rory Gilmore, will you marry me?
She said no. Do I think it's a little strange to get engaged out of college? Yes, but people do it all the time. You know what I mean? People get engaged right after graduating college. People get engaged while they're in college. So I think for it was a sign of the times. But the regular series ends and you're kind of like, how could she possibly say no to Logan Huntzberger? He's perfect. But things get even weirder in Gilmore Girls: A Year in the Life. We open with episode 1, and we find out that despite being fully engaged to some woman named Odette, Logan has sleepovers with Rory very regularly. At first, it's seemingly solely a physical affair, which, for the record, I am not condoning any type of affair, including physical, but I do think that there's a level of a physical relationship versus a very emotional relationship, and this was clearly also an emotional affair. When you see that through this reboot series, Logan still goes out of his way to do things for Rory. He offers her his second home so that she can write her novel. He takes her out on the town, a little reunion with the Life and Death Brigade to show her a good time. It is so unbelievably messy and gross. And by the end of that relationship, finally, you just want it to be over. It's like watching a car crash. So they say goodbye once more, and that's that on that. Just the strangest ending to that relationship overall. No, let me not blush. You know, it's hard not to blush when you think about Jess Mariano. I can't even speak. When Jess Mariano is introduced into Gilmore Girls, he is the black sheep of his family, okay? His mom's got all types of issues. His dad doesn't want him, so he has to move in with Uncle Luke. He's also rude, inconsiderate, pompous in his own artsy hipster way.
Hey.
Hey.
I'm Rory.
Yeah, I figured.
Nice to meet you.
It's not any better than when we meet Logan. That said, he always had a soft spot for Rory and really tried to treat her with the utmost respect, as well as any teenage boy can. He's someone who, yeah, maybe didn't have a lot of resources, didn't have a lot of money, was not going to be this white-collar Wall Street guy. But he showed his love through acts of service. He bid on her basket, he fixed her sprinklers, and got to indulge in conversations about books, which is Rory's biggest interest, okay?
I just want to put some notes in the margins for you.
What?
This is something Rory couldn't do with Lorelai, Lane, or any existing members of her community. And regarding reading, I don't think that you and your partner should be carbon copies of each other. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think it's healthy at times. I think a lot of times it can create some type of competitiveness. However, I do think it's important to have some shared interests. Rory loves books. Jess loves books. Dean hated books. Logan was well read, but didn't like books. You know what I'm saying? Like with Logan, you can't really draw a through line between any of their individual interests or hobbies outside of writing, which they rarely talked about anyway. Subscribe if you're Team Jess, because you're my people, you know? Jess was very independent from the start. He was forced to be independent from the start because of his familial issues and all of that. And he definitely had to forge his own path, but ultimately was successful.
So this is Truncheon Books.
Yeah, this is Truncheon.
I like it.
I think all of these guys have served a purpose in Rory's life, but Jess is someone who kind of pops in at the exact right time and knows exactly what to say to spring Rory into action. I'm not saying that Logan wasn't supportive of her, because he did a lot financially to support her, but just connected with Rory in a way that got her to get up, move, act, do what you need to do. First with the infamous "why did you drop out of Yale" monologue.
I know you better than anyone. This isn't you.
I don't know.
What are you doing? Living at your grandparents' place? Being in the DAR? No, Yale. Why did you drop out of Yale?
And then finally, and maybe most impactfully, Jess is the one to tell Rory what to do with her life. She becomes a novelist because of him and his suggestions and his belief in her. There is such an electricity between Jess and Rory. Maybe that's because the two actors actually dated in real life, but I digress. There is very much a physical chemistry that to me felt forced between Logan and Rory. That's just my opinion. Jess felt like such a right person, wrong time type of situation. And I really wish that it was something that they explored more in the reboot, especially with Jess becoming more successful in his own endeavors. Rory should have ended up with Jess. And my belief is that the writers of Gilmore Girls: A Year in the Life thought it would be cute and kitschy to kind of put Rory in a similar situation that we met Lorelai in. We meet Lorelai and she's 32, single, raising a kid. And here we are at the end of Gilmore Girls: A Year in the Life. Rory, 32. Pregnant. I think she's pregnant with the Wookiee. Anyways, let me know what you think. I'm Team Jess for life. Unless they put out yet another reboot in like 10 years or something and change the entirety of the story of what they did in the reboot, I'm going to be Team Jess. I continue to be devastated every day that this is not how they ended the story. I love you so much. I'll see you next week. Bye.